Same way we would want to spring clean our physical space or those spaces around us, we need to do those in our relationship because maybe we've gotten in some bad habits or stored or stuffed some things that we need to get rid of and eliminate. And in the same way your physical space can get cluttered with stuff, so can our mental and
It'd be really
relational space.
easy to think, well, she knows I love her. Well, so what? I mean, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but I'm going to make sure there's no question in your mind that I adore you, that I love you, that I can't, there's no other place on this planet I want to be other than by your side. And I like the confidence that that gives us in our marriage. Hey there, gang. It's Jim
And Christy.
Jacobus with Your Marriage Matters podcast, episode number 185. And babe, you brought up the whole idea of spring cleaning here, and I like it.
But today we're going to be talking about spring cleaning in our relationship. It was coming to me because I feel like I need to do some cleaning in our physical space, but also now's a great time to look at spring cleaning in our relational space. So,
Absolutely.
yes, today was more of my ideal on the topic, and I appreciate you going along and creating it. So,
Well, I mean, I like the idea, and if we're going to spring clean around here, there's all kinds of reasons why we do that. Same thing, we'd have all kinds of reasons why we spring clean in our relationship. So, why don't you hit them with why do we spring clean in our relationship?
well, I think as with any marker of a change in season, it can be a time of renewal. It can be a time of doing things a little differently and a refresh, recharge, renew. And so I think in the same way we would want to spring clean our physical space or those spaces around us, we need to do those in our relationship because maybe we've gotten in some bad habits or stored or stuffed some things that we need to get rid of and eliminate. And we can focus on decluttering. And in the same way, your physical space can get cluttered with stuff, so can our mental and relational space. So I think that's going to be a time to focus on the decluttering. The other thing is, we can prepare for the next season. And spring is a time of growth and it's a time of rebirth, but it can also be a time where we look to the future for what's next and what's
Yeah.
possible. So, and then it goes back to something that we both like to talk about and we need to focus on is the focus on our team. And
Yep.
so that can be another important factor in why we would do spring cleaning.
Yeah, when you were talking about the decluttering, it reminds me back around the first of the year when we do the 4 questions we need to ask ourselves to have the best year ever. One of those is what do we need to get rid of? What's not working, how to get rid of it. And we always share that there are times in the middle of the year when you and I can get so jammed up because we get busy, we add things to our schedule, we take on new commitments because we're both learning and growing and, just moving forward all the time, that it's not a bad idea to do those kinds of conversations anytime you get jammed up. And so spring cleaning is a great opportunity to make sure that we say, okay, what's not working for us and how do we get rid of it? What tends to be cluttering up our life? We made a new time commitment that maybe we need to get rid of something else in order to make room for it. Or do we really want to make that time commitment? So I love that one. And then the last one there, gang, you're going to hear us talking about this a lot more. We've long believed that Team Jacobus is more important than either Christy or I individually. And we're going to talk about that more as we go through this podcast today. But we've been teaching that. And now recently, babe, with a lot of our studying with Paul Tripp and the marriage book and stuff like that, we've come to realize that not only is the team more important than you or I individually, you and I can both become very selfish and very self-centered about what I want, what I need, my emotions are, that we neglect the team. And, oh, by the way, the team needs to make sure it's in alignment with God's kingdom. The kingdom of self is always battling with the kingdom of God. And this is what we want. We want our team to be in alignment with that. So I think this is a great opportunity to not only say what's in the best interest of our team, okay, as we go about this decluttering and the spring cleaning, but also what's in the best interest of our team, and is our team in alignment with what God called us to in the marriage. And I think that's a conversation we're going to have more and more on this podcast as you and I begin to understand it better and unpack it for ourselves is why is the team important, and also why is it important the team's in alignment with
Mhm.
God's call for our life.
Mhm. And in the same way, you could have a sports team. If the sports team isn't aligned with something more bigger than the team itself,
Yeah,
then it's not going in the right direction in most cases. So yeah. So
absolutely. So you ready to do some spring cleaning?
need to do some spring cleaning for sure. Because you know one thing was interesting about spring cleaning is, and you and I have said this, when we entered into this phase of our lives of going into an RV full time, we bought a lot of stuff that we thought we were going to need.
Yeah,
We purchased stuff because we didn't know what we needed for the journey, if you will. And so we bought stuff. And then as we've come to be in the moment and in our space, we've realized, yeah, really probably didn't need as much stuff as we thought we had. And same thing because as we've said, we're on this tour of Texas and we packed a lot of stuff that I thought, oh, we're going to want this or we're going to need this. And it hasn't really come to fruition. So
yeah,
there's always an opportunity. It doesn't have to be spring cleaning. It always should be an opportunity when we evaluate what are the things we need for our lives. And as we've found, a lot of times the stuff we surround ourselves with can lead us to being burdened
yeah.
with stuff.
Just
So
too much stuff for
too much
sure.
stuff. Mhm.
And so, gang, we have organized this according to Christie's love language, which
Mhm.
is using acronyms and multiple. So this is the 5 R's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds like I
that's so much of an inside joke. We probably ought to let you guys in on it. When we're planning on teaching stuff and everything, Christy loves acronyms. She loves, like team stands for together, everyone achieves more.
mhm.
And so we have organized this with the 5 R's out of respect for Christy and her love language of, of educating using things like this. So
Mhm.
in the past, I would probably just kick back on it. But again, babe, we're learning and growing and getting better. And I'm like going, whatever, we're
Mhm.
going to go with the 5 R's of spring cleaning. And let's see here. The first R, I'm going to take this one. Oh, okay. I like this one. Reorganizing your time together, your team time together. If anything gets cluttered, babe, it's time. If anything gets cluttered, it's our busyness. If anything gets cluttered, it's the amount of focus we put on Jim and Christie,
Mhm.
individually and more importantly as a team. So prioritizing time for quality bonding activities. And babe, I'm going to share this with everybody. I told you before we got ready to leave out on this particular tour of Texas. We'd been home for a while. We got into habits, and again, I'm not saying bad ones. We just got into certain rhythms and everything. And I told you I was looking forward to getting on the road so that I could have you to myself. All
Mhm.
right, and that meant not only were you not tied up doing some very important things, not bad stuff, and I was tied up playing pickleball, but you and I were going to be tied up with each other for about 4 weeks in time, and I really like that. So you and I we do a pretty good job of that anyway. But I love these trips like this because it makes us really kind of depend on each other. We're in the truck a lot together. We're doing activities together. And yesterday, great, Jim scored big time brownie points because we were going on a couple of museum tours, and I actually was planning on staying home and getting some work done. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go with Christy. And I had a great time. I'm
Mhm.
sure I would have had a good time at home, but I'm glad I went with you. So it's
Mhm.
prioritizing stuff like that. And sometimes that means going and doing something with your spouse that maybe is not a, you know, number, top 3 or 4 on your list of things to do. Like maybe your spouse likes to go to the Astros game and you would rather go home, stay home and do something. Maybe you go to the Astros game, or maybe you go to a museum or something like that. So prioritizing quality time with each other is critical to the success of your team. And then schedule regular date nights. Maybe you and I don't have to worry about that. We do that regularly. We do that consistently. But again, we're in a different season of our life. We don't have 3 kids and soccer and baseball and swimming and, fill in the blank stuff. But the busier we are, the more we have to be intentional about reorganizing our team time together. And again, that does not have to be anything fancy. That could be, simply, sitting down and having a meal together when the kids are, gone, or But making it, being intentional, I think, is the key word here. And then, for heaven's sake, we always have to make sure we create a great balance between our personal lives, our individual hobbies, and what I think is more important, which is team time. So there's a couple of things that we can do, but it's all about intentionality with our time with each other. And again, understanding everybody's in a little different season.
Mm-hmm. Right. And sometimes the team time together, I think we think of it in big chunks of time, or like, how am I going to make that happen? And it can be like 10 minutes and
Yeah.
everything too. And I know I've struggled with that too, in trying to do working out or going for a walk. Sometimes I think, well, I don't have, an hour to get 10,000 steps in or whatever. So maybe it would work for today that I do 20 minutes
Yeah.
instead, or sometimes just 10 minutes, because I'm being intentional with that precious gift of time. So
Yeah.
I think,
And I'll go back too, babe, to last week. We talked about the importance of having weekly team meetings. That is great quality time.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you do if you do a team meeting every Sunday and make that an important intentionality, then you're going to get some quality time there. So
Right. So
guess what? We have another R.
an R, renovate team finances. And this one actually came out of something that I have a personal confession about. I'm not always really great about talking about money or talking about finances. And it doesn't really have any root in anything other than sometimes it's difficult to bring up. So I just kind of avoid it. But this is a great time and an impetus to have transparent discussions about financial goals and priorities
Yeah.
at all seasons of life. As we've said, we're in a different season, but there are really important decisions that have to be made. So now can be that great time that you use this spring cleaning as an impetus for doing that. Next step is creating a budget together and sticking to it. The reason for a budget, as we've said in the past, is so that you'll know where your money's going, and you can't just look up and go, oh my gosh, where'd it go? So if you don't have a plan, then you don't have anything to fall back on. And
Yeah.
then the other one that falls under this, which I think we experience, is an opportunity to address any financial conflicts, concerns proactively. We're not in trouble, and we can do that proactively rather than waiting till we're in a crisis state to do that. So renovating team finances during this period in time can be very, very helpful.
Yeah.
So
Well, and again, it kind of reminds me of last week team meeting. One of the things we talk about on our team meeting every week is finances, and a great opportunity to stay ahead of that. I agree with you. And again, I think this is one area that you and I can grow in the future. We had a conversation the other day that was, I wouldn't even say it was unpleasant. It was, I don't know, I don't even know the word I would use, but when it was all over with, you and I were both so thankful that we did it, and it was really positive, and we made some strides together. And I don't know about you, but I was kind of like going, why did we worry about these conversations? I mean, it went fine. As a matter of fact, it went better than fine. It went great. So, but I think part of that has to do with the fact that we're really committed to team and doing what's in our team's best interest. And I think that made it a lot easier.
And I think oftentimes, I know this happens for me, I avoid conflictual confrontations or conflictual topics, and because I already anticipate what's going to happen. And I did that, and it doesn't give me the opportunity to have the actual processing of the details of the conversation. And
Yep.
I think in this case, by being transparent about what's going on, or even by processing it and say, I'm really not even sure why I'm avoiding this conversation, it really was helpful. So
Yep.
yes.
Well, guess what? We have another R. We
Yes.
have 5 R's, babe. That just make you smile. Refresh team appreciation. And again, I think this is one of the things you and I do really, really well, which is constantly tell each other how much we appreciate each other, how much we love each other. We're thankful for the blessings that we have. We pray daily. But I think this is an area where I know it's a game changer for couples that may not be doing that right now. And it starts off with just expressing gratitude and appreciation for each other regularly. I love that exercise that we teach. Make a list of 10 things you're thankful for. Make a list of 5 things that you love about your spouse. Just getting in the habit of being thankful and having gratitude. I read the other day that gratitude is the antidote for entitlement. And man alive, that I think that is such a great quote. I do feel like we have so many people that feel entitled. So many individuals feel entitled in a marriage that certain things are going to happen, as opposed to being thankful for all that is happening and working on the other stuff. And so I just love the idea of showing gratitude and expressing gratitude and doing it regularly and intentionally, and then acknowledging and celebrating each other's strengths and efforts. Man alive, did Paul Tripp teach us a lot about God is creator and God is sovereign, and how God created you was perfect. All right. Not a perfect person, but perfect for our marriage, perfect for me to help me become the man that that he desires for me to be. And I am so thankful that he made you the way you are. You have so many qualities I don't have, and I am so thankful that I get to observe those and learn. And so just celebrating the fact that God made us different and focusing on the strengths instead of the weaknesses, because you and I both have them. And it'd be so easy at times to focus on the negative, but in this case, we want to focus on the positive, and then making time for small gestures of kindness. Just making time to snuggle, or making time to say, hey, thanks a lot for the great breakfast you made this morning, or whatever it happens to be, or maybe gifts, small gifts of appreciation.
Yeah.
We're talking love languages
There you
here.
go. Back to love languages. Well, something you said earlier, I always want to remind myself, because I deal with people who struggle with anxiety, and we can all be made anxious from time to time. And when we look at things in the world, sometimes we can see the negative when actually there's a great deal of positive. And
Yeah,
if we become mindful about gratitude, it can actually help also with anxiety. I'm not saying if you're struggling with something that's causing you anxiety that you just, wish it away or something like that, because it can be deeply seated and rooted within how you cope with things. But gratitude can also help with fears about the future, and being kind to another person, especially those closest to us, can be a win-win, because not only will you feel better because you're the recipient of the kind act, I can feel better because I've done something proactive
yeah,
for another person to show appreciation. So,
yeah. And sometimes the best gift we can give somebody is time,
mhm.
especially in seasons of life where things are just busy as heck. Is saying, hey, look, let's take some time together. Let's do that date. Let's do that 10-minute conversation. Let's read that book together. Let's go to a museum together. Whatever it happens to be,
Right.
that gift can be. It doesn't have to be big. It just says something that says, I was thinking about you, and
And
here's the gift. So
and you matter, right?
absolutely.
True.
And so guess what?
It's another
It's
R.
another R.
And what I like about these R's is they're all refresh,
They're all
revitalize,
R's.
reinvent. They're all those things to make new. So I like this one, revitalizing shared team goals. Now's the time to look at and realign your long-term goals as a couple, because sometimes they're out there and they need to be checked in on, they need to be evaluated. Do they still fit our needs? So it can be a great time to say, let's look at what we want to accomplish as a couple. Also, you can also set it as a way to have new challenges and new adventures that you want to pursue together.
Yeah.
Update that bucket list and kind of look at it and say, okay, what's next? 2024 is flying by. And as we said before, I think the words of wisdom, it's life is like a toilet paper roll. It goes faster as you get to the end. And when you look at things, you go, wow, now's the time to make time matter. And then the other thing is under
Last thing
shared.
you want to do is run out of toilet paper. That's
Exactly. And now can be a great time to look at your personal and professional aspiration.
yeah.
What matters with you? What do you want to do in this precious gift we call time? So
Yep.
revitalizing those shared team goals.
Cool. And by the way, you and I've been doing that here. Well, we constantly do it. We're constantly looking at where we at, where we going, what are we going to do next, how do we make the most out of our time. One of the things we share with people all the time is there's never going to be enough time, and so we're trying to make the
Right.
best out of it.
Right.
And then the last R is renew your team commitment. Okay. I'm going to put this back down at the bottom, scrolling here. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you won't see it, but um, team is more important than the individual. And you and I are really focused on that. We're going to be talking about more of that as we move forward with the podcast and the YouTube channel and everything. Um, it's important to constantly reaffirm our commitment to each other. Um, and not that we have any major breaches or anything like that, but it's just reaffirm that we love each other, and do that daily. Celebrate our achievements and milestones together, and make sure that we both know that we are all in. All right. There is nothing I'm holding back. I know that there's nothing you hold back. We are both fully committed to Team Jacobus, fully committed to becoming the best versions of ourselves, fully committed to the goals and the uh, things that we've said we want to accomplish in life. You're supporting me. I'm supporting you, babe. I think this one is so important to do, in that it can be really easy to think, well, she knows I love her. Well, so what? I mean, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but I'm going to make sure there's no question in your mind that I adore you, that I love you, that I can't, there's no other place on this planet I want to be other than by your side. And I like the confidence that gives us in our marriage together.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think confuses people from time to time, the team can be more important than the individual, but the individual still has to do what is necessary to take care of themselves. It's not okay to say, oh, well, I'm going to focus on the other person to the detriment of myself. You still have a personal responsibility to the team to take care of yourself, because
Yeah.
there are things in that only you can do. So I think that can be very important as well. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think sometimes people feel like what's, they've seen role models, or they've grown up believing that there's a certain way you should be in a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they become a doormat, or they become somebody that's taken advantage of, and that's not in the best interest of the marriage.
Right. Right.
Certainly not in your own individual best interest. In the book The Road Less Traveled, the statement in there was, we always do what we believe is in our best interest,
Mm-hmm.
and in order to be successful, we have to find out what's in our best interest. And I just always felt that quote is so important. It's in our best interest to become the best version of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a doormat. It's not the reverse of that, which is a power control freak. It's all of these things that we talk about in Your Marriage Matters. So that's why we do this. We do this because we believe God intended for you to have an incredible marriage. We believe that God intended for you to experience things that you couldn't even imagine, even when you walk down the aisle. But we want you to experience all of that and more. And that's why we do this podcast, babe. And I think what fascinates me, or what excites me, or what gives me so much energy is we have a great relationship. I would say you normally rank them a little bit lower than I do, but another inside joke. But I think we have a great relationship, but I get excited because I know it's going to get better. I know
Mm-hmm.
God has more for us. I know that you're going to keep growing. I know that I'm going to keep growing. And I know that Team Jacobus is going to be better tomorrow than it is today, and the day after that, and the week after that, and the months after that, and years after that, and hopefully decades. We're just going to keep getting better. And that is what to me is so exciting, because I feel like we have a great relationship today.
Right. Right. So back to the original thing about spring cleaning, now can be that wonderful time to look at areas in your life that you want to renew, refresh, recharge, revitalize, and don't forget about the importance of your relationship.
Yep.
So that's going to be our
Absolutely. Yep.
challenge for everyone.
Yep. And so
Or-
again, Your Marriage Matters to us, matters to you, matters to your family, your community, your kids. It matters to everybody, but it really matters to us. That's why we do the podcast. So if you don't mind, help us out. Go to Your Marriage Matters on Facebook and join the group there. We'd really appreciate that. If you want to check out the show notes on this particular podcast, I will put all of these slides in those show notes at yourmarriagematters.com/185. And if you're watching this or listening to this on YouTube, do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with somebody so that we can grow and reach more people. Every time before we do this podcast, we pray that God would use us and use this podcast to encourage people and to reach folks and help them grow their marriage so that they can experience everything they dreamed of when they walk down the aisle and said, I do. So if you guys could do that for us, we really appreciate it. Babe, I love you. I appreciate you. I love the fact that you like 5 R's. I love the fact that you're committed to becoming the best version of yourself. And I am so thankful that I get to do this life with you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I just think you're the best, sweetheart.
Well, I love you too. And thank you for indulging me on not only the topic, but the structuring and the formatting and everything too. I tell you every day, I hope that you are not only great as you are right now, but I love how you're growing and learning and a consummate person who is involved in change and evolution. So love
Well,
you much.
I love you, sweetie. You deserve the best, and I want to be that for you. So, all right, guys, we'll catch you next week. Probably won't do the 5 R's next week. We'll do something else. But thanks for listening to the podcast. And again, if you don't mind, like the podcast, share it with other people, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us over on Facebook. You guys have a great week. Bye for now.
Let